Have you ever noticed how your sleep starts to shift as the years go by? I mean, really think about it. Maybe it's you, or maybe it's your mom, or granddad. Suddenly, staying up past 9 p.m. feels like running a marathon. And waking up at 4 in the morning? That becomes the norm. Not because of an alarm clock, but because your body just decides it's time. It's strange, isn't it? And maybe you brush it off. Maybe you've told yourself, it's just old age, nothing to worry about. But what if I told you, it's not just a harmless change? What if this shift in sleep could quietly be affecting your memory, your heart, even your risk of falling? You see, after the age of 70, sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's about preserving your brain, regulating your mood, and even protecting your body from serious health problems. And the time you go to bed? That's not random either. It's actually one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. But here's the thing nobody tells you. It's not just about how many hours you sleep. It's when you go to sleep that could mean the difference between aging gracefully or aging painfully. I know that sounds dramatic. But trust me, this isn't just another health tip. This is real advice. The kind that comes straight from doctors, sleep scientists, and elder care specialists. People who've studied how sleep changes in our later years and why getting it wrong can quietly steal your energy, focus, and independence without you even realizing it. And here's what's wild. A lot of people, especially those over 70, don't even know they're doing it wrong. In fact, the most common bedtime routine for seniors today? It's exactly the opposite of what medical experts actually recommend. So in today's video, we're going to break it all down together. By the end, you'll understand exactly what time seniors should be going to bed for better health, why it matters, what the science says, and most importantly, how a few simple changes could completely transform how you or your loved one feels each day. We're going to talk about brain health, energy, fall risks, mood changes, and we'll clear up some really common sleep myths that have been doing more harm than good. So stick around. Because if you've ever looked at a loved one and thought, they just seem more tired lately, this might be the reason why. White right pointing backhand index. And hey, before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Comment rest is health down below if you believe that good sleep is the foundation of good health. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want more heart-centered, science-backed tips from us here at Elders Wisdom Institute. We're here to walk with you every step of the way. Alright. Let's talk about what bedtime really means after 70. Small blue diamond. Point 1, the ideal bedtime window, 7 to 9 p.m. It's not just a myth. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Because when sleep specialists and geriatric doctors were asked what time older adults should go to bed for better health, their answer wasn't just a loose suggestion like, try to sleep earlier. They were clear. Specific. The ideal bedtime for someone over 70? It's between 7 and 9 p.m. Yes, that early. Now I know that might sound odd, even a little old-fashioned. You might be thinking, isn't that just a stereotype? Go to bed with the sunset, wake up with the sunrise. But this isn't about tradition, it's about how the aging body really works. Let me tell you a little story. Picture this, your dad, 75 years old, sitting on his favorite recliner at midnight. He's halfway through his third rerun of Bonanza or an old John Wayne Western. You check in on him, maybe ask, aren't you tired? He waves you off. Says he's fine. Just relaxing. But the next morning, he's dragging his feet. He can't remember where he placed his slippers. His balance is a little off. You chalk it up to age. He's just getting older. But what if the real problem isn't aging, it's timing? Here's what most people don't realize. After the age of 70, your body's circadian rhythm, that natural, internal clock that tells you when to be awake and when to rest, starts to shift earlier in the day. This is a well-documented condition called advanced sleep phase syndrome. It's not a disorder, just a normal biological change. Your brain starts releasing melatonin, your sleep hormone, much earlier than it used to. So while you or your loved one might still want to stay up and enjoy the evening, your body is already shutting down. And when you push past that natural window, staying up past 10 or 11, you're going against what your body wants. The result? Lighter sleep. Poorer rest. Waking up too early, still feeling tired. It's a cycle that slowly chips away at energy, memory, and even mood. And here's the part that breaks my heart. A lot of families unknowingly make it worse. They try to keep their elderly loved ones up later so they can join dinner, or watch a family show, or just stick to the household schedule. It comes from love, of course. But it's also unknowingly creating exhaustion the next day. Because what no one tells you is that forcing a 75-year-old to stay up until 10:30 is like asking a 30-year-old to stay awake until 2 a.m. The body can do it, but it pays for it the next morning. So what can you do? You don't need to flip bedtime upside down overnight. Start slow. Ease bedtime earlier by 15 minutes every few days. Turn off the big overhead lights after dinner. Use a warm lamp instead. Dim the TV screen. Lower the volume. No phones or tablets an hour before sleep. These small changes help the body recognize it's time to slow down. This 7 to 9 p.m. bedtime window may seem early, but it's the window when the body wants to rest. When melatonin levels are rising. When sleep has the best chance of being deep, restful, and healing. And when you get it right, when you respect the body's timing, everything improves: energy, focus, balance, even mood and appetite. So next time you see your loved one nodding off after dinner, don't fight it. Don't keep them up just a little longer. Instead, honor it. That's their body trying to take care of itself. And speaking of sleep quality, let's take a look at what happens to deep sleep after 70, and why timing alone isn't enough if the depth of sleep is being affected. Because the truth is, even if you're going to bed early, you might still be waking up tired, and there's a powerful reason why. Small blue diamond point 2. The deep sleep decline, and how timing helps. Let me ask you something you've probably seen before. Your grandma goes to bed at 10 p.m. She gets under the covers, maybe reads a little, maybe not. But by midnight, she's awake. Again at 2. Then 3:30. And again at 5. By the time the sun comes up, she's already been in and out of sleep 4, 5, maybe 6 times. And when morning hits, she looks tired. Not just sleepy. Not just slow. Exhausted. And you start wondering, but she went to bed early. Didn't she get enough sleep? Here's the thing, it's not just about how long you sleep. It's about how deeply your brain and body rest during that sleep. And unfortunately, as we age, we lose something precious: deep sleep. Now, let's talk science for just a moment, but I promise, I'll keep it simple. Your sleep is made up of stages. Light sleep, deep sleep, and REM, the dream state. Deep sleep is the stage when your body does its most important work. Muscles repair. The immune system resets. The brain clears out waste proteins, yes, physically removes toxins that build up during the day. This is the stage that keeps your memory sharp and your body strong. But as we pass 65, and especially after 70, the body produces less melatonin, and the brain starts to have trouble reaching that deep stage of sleep. So even if you're in bed for 8 hours, you might only get 20 to 30 minutes of real, restorative sleep. And that right there is why so many older adults feel like they're never fully rested. Now here's where it gets interesting. Studies show that when older adults go to bed during peak melatonin hours, that is, before 10 p.m., ideally between 7 and 9 p.m., they're more likely to dip into deeper stages of sleep, even if just briefly. It's like catching a train that only comes once a night. If you miss it, if you stay up too late, you'll have to settle for lighter, broken rest. But if you catch it on time, your chances of getting that healing, body-restoring sleep go way up. And that's something most people don't know. You've probably heard people say, "Oh, older folks just don't need as much sleep." But that's actually a misconception. Older adults often need just as much sleep as anyone else, around 7 to 8 hours a night. But the timing becomes more critical. The window for quality, uninterrupted sleep gets smaller, and it depends heavily on routine and environment. So if your grandma, or your mom, your spouse, or maybe even you, is waking up every couple of hours, it's not because the body wants less sleep. It's usually because the body has lost the rhythm that guides sleep depth. So what do we do about it? Here's something simple but powerful: create a sleep sanctuary. Not just a place to lie down, but a space that tells the brain, it's time to rest. Start around 8:30 p.m. Dim the lights. Turn off the television, yes, even the quiet one in the background. Silence the phone. Not just on vibrate, put it away. No scrolling. No blue light. Instead, try something soothing. A warm cup of herbal tea, chamomile or lemon balm works beautifully. Or a few minutes of gentle stretching, nothing intense. Just enough to loosen tension from the day. A calming book. Or quiet music. Maybe even just silence. Let that last hour before bed become sacred. Because here's the truth: if you honor your body's need for peace, your sleep will begin to honor you back. With more depth, fewer interruptions, and a stronger, clearer mind the next day. And that small shift? It can change everything. So if your loved one, or you, have been stuck in a cycle of waking up exhausted despite going to bed early, now you know. It's not laziness. It's not just aging. It's your body asking for alignment, with nature, with rhythm, and with rest. And there's even more to understand. Because while deep sleep is critical, so is what happens before you even lie down. Coming up next, we'll talk about the third piece of the sleep puzzle, and it's something most people overlook completely: how evening routines and mental clutter can disrupt sleep before your head even hits the pillow. Let's dive into that. Small Blue Diamond. Point 3, Brain Health and Early Bedtimes, the Alzheimer's connection. Let me tell you a true story that's all too familiar. A woman in her early 70s started noticing changes in her husband. He'd always been sharp. A crossword wizard. The guy who never forgot a birthday, who could tell you where he left his keys and what year their favorite song came out. But lately, he'd start a sentence and forget what he was saying. He'd lose track of the remote. He'd repeat questions from just minutes ago. And oddly enough, he was staying up later than ever before, watching TV until well past midnight, night after night. At first, she thought maybe he was just tired. Or stressed. Or maybe, just bored. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. And here's the truth: it wasn't just forgetfulness. It wasn't just late-night television. It was his brain, fighting an uphill battle while the rest of the world slept. You see, while we sleep, something extraordinary happens in the brain, especially during the early part of the night. There's a system called the glymphatic system. Think of it like the brain's overnight cleaning crew. While you're in deep, non-REM sleep, especially between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m., this system kicks into gear. It clears out metabolic waste, flushes out toxic proteins like beta amyloid, the very substance that builds up in the brains of those with Alzheimer's disease. And when you miss that window, when you stay up watching the news or scrolling through your phone, you delay or even skip the brain's cleaning shift. That's when the damage begins. Night after night of missed or fragmented early sleep can accelerate cognitive decline. And for older adults already at risk, that's a cost far too high. Here's a mistake people often make: they think being mentally active late at night keeps the brain working and sharp. But the reality is the opposite. Overstimulation at night actually prevents the brain from doing its real work: clearing, healing, and resetting. So instead of strengthening memory, those late-night TV shows and intense conversations may be slowly dulling it. So, what can you do? You don't have to flip your life upside down. Just build a predictable evening rhythm that encourages rest, not stimulation. Try this. At 8 p.m., lower the volume in the house. Put on some soft music, instrumental, gentle, calming. Encourage meditation if that fits, or even a simple breathing practice. And here's a secret weapon: audio stories. Yes. Just like children settle down with bedtime tales, many older adults find that listening to a slow-paced, familiar story helps them unwind without needing screens or bright lights. Think of it as a cue to the brain: it's time to let go. It's time to restore. And when you give your brain that early window of sleep, you're not just resting. You're protecting your memories. You're defending your clarity. You're fighting, night after night, for the life and identity you've spent decades building. Now, let's move into something even more urgent. Because while memory loss can come quietly over time, there's another risk that shows up suddenly, and often dangerously. Let's talk about falls, and why late nights could be a hidden danger you've never considered. Small blue diamond point for fall risk and late nights, a hidden danger. Picture this. John, 78 years old. Wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, thirsty. He gets out of bed. It's dark. The hallway is quiet. Maybe a little too quiet. His balance is off, but he doesn't think much of it. He's done this before, right? But this time, his foot catches on the edge of the carpet. He slips. Falls hard on his side. By the time his wife wakes up, he's on the floor, confused, shaken, in pain. A broken hip. A hospital stay. And a long, difficult recovery ahead. Now here's what most people don't realize: it wasn't just the dark hallway. It wasn't just the rug. It was his sleep. More specifically, his lack of quality, uninterrupted sleep. Research shows that fragmented sleep, that broken pattern of tossing, turning, and waking up, directly affects balance, coordination, and reaction time in older adults. When the brain doesn't get consistent rest, it can't properly regulate motor control. Which means that when you wake up groggy in the middle of the night, your chances of falling go up significantly. And here's another common mistake: many families think naps during the day will make up for poor sleep at night. But guess what? Too much daytime sleep can actually make nighttime worse, by disrupting the body's internal clock, leading to even more tossing and turning when it really matters. So what's the solution? It starts before bedtime, and it involves the entire home. First, keep the environment dim and quiet after 8 p.m. Bright lights trick the brain into thinking it's still daytime, throwing off the body's natural rhythm. Second, set up the space with safety in mind. Motion sensor night lights can be a lifesaver, especially in hallways, bedrooms, and bathrooms. Clear the path between the bed and bathroom: no shoes, no bags, no furniture edges. And if possible, try to encourage hydration earlier in the evening, so those 2 a.m. bathroom trips are fewer and farther between. Because here's the truth no one likes to say out loud: for older adults, one bad fall can change everything. It's not just a bruise or a broken bone, it can mean losing independence, needing long-term care, or worse. But the good news is, you can reduce the risk. It starts with honoring the body's natural sleep needs. And it continues with creating a space where safety and rest go hand in hand. And speaking of rhythm, there's one final piece of this sleep puzzle that ties everything together, and it has more to do with routine than anything else. Coming up next, let's talk about consistency, why sleeping and waking at the same time every day might be the single most powerful habit for seniors' long-term health. Shall I continue with point 5, consistency is king, why routine is the real medicine? Small blue diamond. Point 5, sleep timing and mood swings, the emotional toll. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 74. A retired school teacher. The kind of woman who used to hum in the kitchen while making tea, who always had a quick smile, and who'd light up every family gathering with her warmth. But lately, something changed. Her daughter started noticing the difference. Margaret seemed irritated over small things. Snapped at the grandkids for being too loud. She wasn't laughing as much. Sometimes she'd just sit quietly, staring out the window, distant, moody. Naturally, her daughter assumed it was just age. Or loneliness. Or maybe some kind of mild depression creeping in. But then they went to see her doctor, and he asked a question they hadn't even considered. "How's your sleep, Margaret?" And that was the turning point. Because, as it turns out, Margaret had been going to bed at random times, sometimes at 10, sometimes at 1 in the morning. She would scroll on her tablet, watch late-night news, or just sit in bed unable to wind down. Her mornings were slow and groggy, her energy unpredictable. And slowly, silently, that inconsistent sleep was pulling at the threads of her mood. You see, here's what most people don't realize: sleep and mood are deeply connected. In fact, for older adults, sleep timing might be one of the most underrated influences on emotional well-being. When we sleep at irregular times, or not enough, our brain's neurochemical balance gets disrupted. Hormones like serotonin, the one that helps us feel calm and content, begin to dip. At the same time, cortisol, the stress hormone, can rise unnaturally, making us feel anxious, jittery, or just emotionally off-center. This isn't just waking up on the wrong side of the bed. It's biological. It's chemical. And for seniors, who already face hormonal shifts with age, misaligned sleep can be the tipping point into full-blown mood disorders. Here's the tragic part: so many families misinterpret this. They assume mood swings or irritability are just part of aging. They chalk it up to personality changes. They might even respond with frustration or distance, not realizing that what their loved one needs is simply better, more consistent sleep. But there's good news. The solution doesn't require medication or a massive lifestyle overhaul. It starts with a simple routine. Here's what you can do, whether it's for yourself, a parent, or someone you love deeply. Small blue diamond first: set a fixed sleep and wake time, and stick to it. Yes, even on weekends. Even during holidays. The brain loves consistency. It thrives on it. Small blue diamond second: get as much natural daylight as possible, especially in the morning. Open the blinds. Sit by a window. Step outside for 10 minutes. Daylight anchors the circadian rhythm and boosts mood-enhancing hormones. Small blue diamond third: start winding down after 7 p.m. No news. No stress. No screens. Instead, try calming activities, light conversation, puzzles, knitting, gentle music, or reading something comforting. Think of it as telling the body, it's safe now. You can rest. Because here's the beautiful part: when sleep improves, so does everything else. The joy returns. The patience comes back. The sparkle in the eyes, that, too, slowly finds its way home. So if someone you love has started withdrawing, if their mood feels off, before you assume the worst, ask this gentle question: how are you sleeping lately? It might be the most healing conversation you ever have. And now that we've explored how early bedtimes can transform mood, protect memory, and reduce physical risk, let's take a moment to bring it all together. Because this journey isn't just about facts, it's about what you do next. You know, it's one thing to read the research, to hear a doctor say, sleep is important after 70, and nod your head. But it's another thing entirely to sit in the quiet of your living room, watching someone you love. Someone who once held you, protected you, taught you everything, begin to change. Maybe their steps are slower. Their energy isn't what it used to be. They forget small things. They seem down. Less interested in life. Less themselves. And you're left wondering, what happened? What's causing this? Is it just age? Or is there something I'm missing? Seeing someone you care about struggle, with energy, with memory, with emotion, hurts. Especially when you feel powerless to help. Especially when it seems like no one's talking about the little things, like sleep. But here's the truth, something I hope you carry with you long after this video ends. Understanding something as simple as bedtime, as quiet and ordinary as what time a loved one gets into bed, can change everything. It's not just about getting more hours of sleep. It's not about a strict bedtime routine with a stopwatch in hand. It's about giving their body and brain the best chance to heal, to restore, and to function the way it's meant to. Because after 70, sleep isn't just rest. It's recovery. It's protection. It's the difference between confusion and clarity, between falls and steadiness, between surviving and truly living. And now that you know what most people don't, you have a tool. A quiet but powerful one. Think about this for a moment. What if something as small as moving bedtime from 11 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. could bring more peace to your mom's mornings? Could reduce your dad's risk of falling in the bathroom at night? Could help your grandmother remember her grandchildren's names with a little more ease? What if the answer wasn't in a new medication or a new doctor, but in a soft lamp at 8 p.m., a warm cup of tea, and a gentle, "Time for bed, Mom"? So tonight, do this one thing. Just watch the clock. If it's 9:15 and your loved one is still awake in the kitchen or flipping through TV channels, ask yourself, are we doing everything we can for their well-being? Not out of guilt. Not out of fear. But out of love. Because love doesn't always look like grand gestures or fancy equipment. Sometimes, it looks like turning off the lights a little earlier. Like helping someone into their robe and gently guiding them to bed. Like choosing to value their rest as much as you value their presence in your life. And here's the most beautiful part, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it all right, every night. It's not about being strict or rigid or following a checklist. It's about being present. It's about being aware. And it's about taking small steps, like you're doing right now, that say, I see you. I care. And I want the best for you. This awareness you've gained today. This shift in how you see something as basic as bedtime. It's a beginning. A quiet revolution in how we care for our elders. Rooted in empathy. Guided by science. And carried forward with love. Let's take a breath and just reflect. We've covered a lot, but every piece of it ties back to one simple truth: sleep isn't just rest for the elderly, it's medicine. It's protection. It's healing. So here's a quick recap, in case you want to revisit these later or even share with someone who needs to hear it. We talked about how the ideal bedtime window, between 7 and 9 p.m., isn't a myth, but a way to align with your loved one's natural rhythm. We explored how better timing supports deeper sleep, which becomes harder to get after 70, but not impossible. We looked at the connection between early sleep and brain health, especially how critical that 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. window is for memory and mental clarity. We dug into how poor sleep raises fall risks, and how stabilizing the nighttime routine keeps them safer, especially in those quiet hours when the world is asleep and the house is dim. And lastly, we looked at the emotional toll of poor sleep, and how a few gentle changes can support mood, reduce irritability, and even help lift that emotional fog we sometimes mistake for aging. Every one of these points, every story, every tip, they all come back to the care you give. And how even the smallest adjustments, like turning down the lights at the right time, or encouraging a gentle routine, can make a big difference. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed your loved one staying up too late, or maybe waking often and feeling drained during the day? Share your story in the comments below. You never know who your experience might help. Let's make the comment section a safe place, a place for real connection and shared wisdom. And hey, if even one thing you heard today made you think differently, helped you understand your loved one better, or gave you an idea to try tonight. Please consider subscribing to Elders Wisdom Institute. We're building a community here, a space where caring for aging loved ones doesn't have to feel confusing or overwhelming. We're here every week, offering real-life tools, insights, and encouragement to help you care with confidence and compassion. So before you go, take one last deep breath. Feel proud of what you're doing. Feel hopeful. Because awareness is where good care begins. Thanks for spending this time with me. Stay kind. Stay curious. And I'll see you in the next one.